Welcome to biology class. We will continue with chapter circulatory system. Following topics were discussed in our previous class: importance of blood, blood vessels, difference between arteries and veins, and blood pressure. Today we will discuss about the pumping organ of our body, the heart. Our heart is a muscular organ that acts like a pump and sends blood throughout our body. It is made up of cardiac muscles, and these muscles contract and relax continuously without rest. They work throughout our lives. The heart is located in the chest cavity in the rib cage and is a fist-shaped muscular organ. Let us study the structure of heart in detail. Heart is enclosed within double membrane called pericardium. The space between pericardium and heart is filled with a fluid called pericardial fluid. This fluid protects heart from shocks and jerks and acts like a shock absorber. The human heart consists of 4 compartments called chambers. Each half consists of upper atrium. Atrium is also known as auricle, and a lower ventricle. Now look at this image. The upper 2 atriums are called left atrium and right atrium, and at the lower side is present right ventricle and left ventricle. So in total 4 chambers. These atria are called receiving chambers as it receives blood from the veins. Ventricles can be referred to as distributing chambers as they can pump blood into the arteries. In our heart, the flow of blood is unidirectional. That is, it flows in one direction only from auricle to ventricle. It cannot flow backward because of presence of 2 valves, tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve is present at the opening of right atrium into right ventricle and allows the blood to flow from right atrium to right ventricle. Bicuspid valve, also known as mitral valve, is present at the opening of left atrium into left ventricle and allows the blood to flow from left atrium to left ventricle. A muscular valve separates the heart into left and right part. It is called septum. It prevents the mixing of blood with the left side totally separated from the right side. Let us study 4 chambers in detail. Right auricle or atrium. It receives deoxygenated blood from the body and pumps it into right ventricle through 2 veins, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava. It brings deoxygenated blood from the parts of the body above the heart, and inferior vena cava collects and brings deoxygenated blood from the parts below the heart. Right ventricle. It receives deoxygenated blood from the right auricle and sends it to lungs through pulmonary artery. You can look in this picture, 2 veins, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, are connected to right auricle. Left auricle. It receives oxygenated blood from the lungs through pulmonary veins, and left ventricle receives oxygenated blood from the left auricle and sent it to different parts of the body through aorta. Valves are also present in pulmonary artery and aorta to prevent the backflow of blood into right ventricle and left ventricle. These are pulmonary valve and aortic valve. Pulmonary valve guards the opening of right ventricle into pulmonary artery, and aortic valve, it guards the opening of the left ventricle into the aorta. Students, remember, the right side of the heart collects deoxygenated blood from the body and pumps it to the lungs, and the left side of the heart collects oxygenated blood from the lungs and pump it to different parts of the body. Let us watch this video to understand the concept.
Heart is an organ made up of several tough layers of muscle. The pericardium is the thin layer that covers the exterior, while the endocardium lines the inside walls. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, 2 upper and 2 lower. The upper chambers, known as the atrium, receive blood coming into the heart. The lower chambers are the ventricles that pump blood out. Between each chamber are valves that open and close and help keep the blood moving. They are the tricuspid, mitral, pulmonary, and aortic valves. A pumping cycle starts when oxygen-depleted blood returns to the heart after circulating throughout the body. The blood enters through the right atrium before flowing to the right ventricle. It's then pumped to the lungs via the pulmonary arteries. There, blood is rejuvenated by air that's breathed in. The oxygen-rich blood returns to the heart through the left atrium, where it goes to the left ventricle. Then, by way of the aorta artery, the fresh blood is pumped throughout the body before the process repeats itself.
So students, today we have discussed the structure of heart, in which we have studied in detail 4 chambers of the heart: left auricle, right auricle, left ventricle and right ventricle. We have also discussed the location and function of 4 valves: tricuspid, bicuspid, pulmonary and aortic. I hope you have understood and enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you and stay safe.